In the endless dark between stars, stories always moved faster than ships. Across the galaxy, travelers spoke of a strange world near the edge of a forgotten arm. The legend said that the planet was small, blue, and full of restless creatures who never stopped fighting each other. Some laughed at the stories, calling them myths. Others whispered warnings, saying that if these creatures ever reached the stars, the galaxy itself would shake. No one listened. No one believed. The name of that world was Earth, and its people, the humans. For thousands of years, the greater races of the galaxy ignored them. The elderly, wise and ancient, said the humans were too violent to survive the test of the stars. The Karath, who had ruled empires for millennia, said humans would destroy themselves before leaving their cradle. Even the peaceful Vayari, who saw patterns in fate, warned that humans would not come as friends. But in the council halls of the galaxy, laughter answered every warning. After all, what threat could a small primitive race make against empires that stretched across 10,000 systems? The truth began to unfold quietly. First, it was a signal. A thin, weak wave of sound that escaped from Earth's atmosphere and wandered through the void. Old radio, old songs, voices from a world still learning what it meant to touch the stars. Some races caught these signals and studied them with curiosity. The humans sang of war, of victory, of loss, of dreams. Their stories were full of conflict, full of hunger for something more. The other races smiled. Children, they called them. Children playing with fire. But fire spreads. Fire consumes. When human ships finally broke through the deep dark, they were not graceful, not beautiful, not perfect. They were loud, fast, full of steel and fire. The first contact was small, a lone human scout ship stumbling into Vayari space. The crew smiled, eager to meet others. They stretched out hands of friendship. But even then, behind their eyes, there was something the Vayari could not name. Something like hunger. Something like storm. The Vayari remembered the warnings of their elders, but the council ignored them again. They welcomed humans, shared knowledge, opened trade routes. They thought this new species would grow calm with guidance. They were wrong. In a matter of decades, humans spread faster than anyone thought possible. Colonies rose on barren moons. Cities burned in toxic skies. Where other species saw danger, humans saw challenge. Where others saw death, humans saw a puzzle to solve. The galaxy watched in silence, unsure if they should admire or fear. And then came the war. It did not begin with a declaration. It began with silence, then fire. The Karath, proud in their power, thought they could bend humanity to their will. They tried to claim Earth's colonies as their own. They underestimated what it meant to fight humans. They thought humans would kneel. Instead, they learned what it meant when humans stood together. One world fell to fire. Another to steel. Human ships moved like predators, striking not with grace but with fury. The Karath fleets, once thought unbreakable, shattered in battle after battle. And still, the galaxy told itself, this is only a small war. It will end. Humans will tire. But humans never tired. Legends spoke again. This time, no one laughed. Old voices whispered in council chambers. We were warned. But the warnings had come too late. The storm had already begun. Now, as the stars watched in silence, one truth became clear. Humans were not the children of the galaxy. They were something else. Something the legends had tried to name but failed. Something that would either burn the galaxy, or remake it. And so the story begins. The smoke of war did not vanish quickly. Stars that once shone bright were now haunted by wrecks of broken ships, drifting silently in the void. The Karath had been proud, certain that no younger race could ever challenge them. But humans had shown them something the galaxy had forgotten, what it meant to fight with everything, even when the odds seemed impossible. Whispers spread faster than light. In hidden ports, traders spoke in fear. In council chambers, the elderly argued. Should the humans be destroyed before they grew stronger? Or should they be welcomed, before they turned their hunger against the entire galaxy? No one could agree. Meanwhile, humans did not wait for decisions. They were already moving. Their colonies expanded across dangerous worlds where other species would not even land. Ice planets, toxic atmospheres, radiation storms, places that seemed unlivable became home to humans. Where others saw death, humans built cities. Where others saw limits, humans broke them. The Vayari watched with unease. They had been the first to welcome humanity, and now they wondered if that choice had been a mistake. Elders remembered the old prophecies: when the restless ones rise, the stars will tremble. Blood will follow their steps. Empires will fall. At first, these words had sounded like myths. Now, they sounded like warnings. But warnings no longer mattered. The Koroth wanted revenge. Though their fleets were broken, their pride was not. In secret, they gathered strength, forging weapons older than most civilizations. They told themselves that humans had won only by surprise. This time, they would be ready. This time, they would burn Earth itself. Yet humans were not blind. Their spies had already learned of the Korotha's plans. Where the Koroth prepared, humans prepared harder. Where the Koroth built ships, humans built fleets. And deep inside, every human remembered one truth: they were survivors. Then came the Second War. It began at the edge of a forgotten system. A Koroth fleet, dark as shadow, moved quietly toward a human colony. They expected fear. They expected surrender. Instead, they found a storm waiting. Human ships did not fight with elegance. They fought like wolves, fast, brutal, relentless. Every strike was meant to kill. Every loss only made them fight harder. The Koroth commander sent a desperate message back to his people: they do not break. They do not fear. They are not like us. His words never reached home. His fleet was gone before the day ended. The galaxy trembled. 2 wars. 2 victories for a species that had once been dismissed as children. Suddenly, the legends felt heavier. Suddenly, the warnings felt real. The Elderly gathered in their great halls, voices rising in panic. If we wait, they will only grow stronger, some said. If we strike now, perhaps we can end this. Others argued for peace. They are dangerous, yes, but not yet our enemies. To fight them is to call the storm upon ourselves. But the storm was already coming. Among humans, stories of victory spread like fire. Young pilots dreamed of stars. Builders designed ships larger than ever before. Soldiers swore oaths not to their nations, but to humanity itself. Something was changing. Something deep and unstoppable. The galaxy had thought humans were divided, always fighting each other. But the truth was more dangerous. Humans fought each other only until a greater enemy appeared. And when that enemy came, humans stood as one. From the ashes of 2 wars, humanity's voice grew louder. In every council, in every marketplace, in every whispered conversation across the galaxy, one question now lived: what will humans do next? Some races prayed for peace. Others prepared for war. All waited, uncertain and afraid. Because in the silence of the stars, one truth could not be ignored: the humans were not done. And the galaxy had only seen the beginning. The stars grew silent after the Second War. Ships traveled more carefully. Traders spoke more quietly. Even the great councils met in shadows, fearful that their words might reach human ears. For the first time in ages, the galaxy felt something it had forgotten: uncertainty. The humans were no longer just a rumor. They were no longer a primitive race trying to survive. They were a storm that could not be ignored. On Earth, a council of their own was rising. No longer divided by nations, humanity now spoke with a new voice, a united voice. Leaders who once argued now planned together. Generals who once fought each other now trained as one army. The stars had forced them into unity, and that unity made them stronger than ever before. Every world they touched became a fortress. Colonies that had begun as fragile outposts now bristled with defenses. Soldiers drilled under the light of alien suns. Children grew up listening to stories of the Karath Wars, learning from birth that humanity's place was no longer on one small world, but among the stars. Yet peace did not come. The Karath were not the only empire watching. The Eldari, ancient and wise, remembered the old warnings better than anyone. They searched through their archives, looking for forgotten records, searching for proof of what humanity truly was. What they found disturbed them. Across countless ages, stories appeared again and again. Tales of a species that rose from nothing, that burned across the stars like wildfire. Every time, the legends said, they brought war. Every time, empires fell. The name changed, the faces changed, but the pattern remained. And now, the Eldari feared, that pattern had returned in the form of humanity. The Eldari Council argued for weeks. Some demanded war. If the stories are true, humanity must be destroyed before it grows stronger. Others begged for caution. What if we only make the storm worse by fighting it? What if this is not a curse, but destiny? While they argued, humans kept moving. Explorers pushed into territories where no one dared to go. Their ships traveled into dead zones haunted by radiation, into ruins of civilizations long gone, into black holes of mystery. Where others saw danger, humans saw opportunity. Every discovery made them stronger. Every failure taught them to adapt. The galaxy whispered, "They do not stop. They do not rest. They only advance." It was not long before the Eldari made their choice. At first, they reached out with diplomacy. A great delegation came to Earth, cloaked in silken robes, carrying gifts of knowledge and technology. They spoke with smooth voices, urging peace, urging caution, urging limits. But humans did not accept limits. They listened politely. They smiled. They traded. But deep inside, they were already planning the next step forward. The Eldari delegation left uneasy. They had seen the hunger in human eyes, the same hunger that had destroyed empires in their oldest legends. Some among the Eldari warned that war was inevitable. Others still hoped peace could be held. But history was already moving, and it was moving fast. The spark came sooner than anyone expected. In a distant sector, a human exploration fleet stumbled into Eldari space. The humans claimed it was a mistake, a drift in their navigation. The Eldari accused them of lies, of testing boundaries. Tension rose. Words turned into threats. Threats turned into weapons. The first battle between humans and Eldari lasted only minutes. It was not the scale of the war with the Karath, but its meaning shook the galaxy to its core. The humans had faced one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations in existence, and they had not been broken. In council halls across the stars, silence followed the news. The legends had warned them. They had ignored it. And now, humanity stood against the Eldari themselves. The storm was no longer coming. The storm was here. The first clash between humans and Eldari was small, but its echo traveled farther than any fleet. The galaxy could no longer pretend. It could no longer laugh at old warnings. The storm was here, and it was growing. The Eldari, proud and ancient, had not lost a war in thousands of years. Yet in that short battle, they had been forced back. They told themselves it was only a mistake, only a miscalculation. But inside their hearts, a shadow of fear began to spread. If humans could break even one Eldari fleet, then what more could they do tomorrow? On Earth, the news spread like fire. Humans celebrated. Children waved flags. Soldiers swore new oaths. For the first time, humanity had faced the oldest power in the galaxy, and survived. To them, it was not just survival. It was proof. Proof that they belonged among the stars, not as students, not as servants, but as equals, or rulers. The Eldari Council divided. Some shouted for total war, to crush the humans before they rose higher. Others demanded patience, to study them, to wait for weakness. But humans never gave time. While the Eldari argued, humanity acted. Colonies became shipyards. Factories on moons worked without rest, building weapons faster than the galaxy thought possible. Fleets multiplied. Every world they touched turned into a fortress of steel and fire. And still, humans reached farther, deeper, into places where no one dared to follow. The Vayari, once friends to humanity, watched with growing fear. They had given the first welcome. Now they wondered if they had opened the gates for destruction. Their leaders whispered among themselves, "If humans continue, no empire will survive, not even us." The Karath, broken from their defeats, saw a chance for revenge. They sent messages to the Eldari, "Let us fight together. Only united can we stop them." For the first time, enemies who had once killed each other now spoke of alliance. Fear of humans bound them together. But fear was not enough. The Third War began not with a plan, but with an accident. In the shadow of a dying star, a human fleet and an Eldari fleet met by chance. Neither side expected battle, but mistrust was stronger than reason. A single shot lit the darkness. Within minutes, fire spread across the system. The battle was brutal. Eldari ships, beautiful and precise, fought with elegance. Human ships, rough and unrefined, fought with rage. The Eldari expected order. Instead, they met chaos. Chaos that adapted. Chaos that learned. Chaos that would not die. When the battle ended, both sides had lost much. But the Eldari had lost more. For the second time, they had failed to break humanity. And the galaxy understood, if the Eldari could not stop them, no one could. Whispers filled the void. Old legends were repeated in new fear. We were warned. They are the restless ones. They are the fire that consumes. On Earth, the human council gathered. Their leaders spoke not of defense, but of destiny. The galaxy fears us, they said. Let it fear. Fear is strength. Strength is survival. The council declared what many already believed, that humanity would not hide, would not bow, would not stop. The stars were theirs to take. For the Eldari, the choice became clear. They could not face humans alone. They began to call to other races, gathering an alliance greater than any seen before. Dozens of empires, rivals for ages, now stood together for one purpose, to stop humanity. And so the galaxy split. On one side, the humans, united, burning with ambition. On the other, the alliance, vast but fragile, bound by fear more than loyalty. War loomed like a shadow across every star. The galaxy held its breath. The legends had warned them. They had ignored the signs. And now, all would pay the price. The galaxy stood on the edge of fire. The alliance of empires gathered in secret halls, their banners glowing in the light of dying suns. Eldari, Karath, Vayari, and dozens more, races that had once hated each other now sat together, bound by fear of one name, humanity. They spoke of strategies, of fleets, of weapons older than memory. But even as they planned, doubt filled the air. Some whispered, "If the Eldari could not stop them, how can we?" Others muttered, "Perhaps the legends were true. Perhaps we fight against destiny itself." The alliance tried to appear strong, but inside, it was fragile. Too many voices, too many rivalries, too much mistrust. Meanwhile, humans did not wait. On Earth, the Great Council declared that the galaxy's fear was proof of their strength. They called for expansion, for unity, for war if necessary. "We will not kneel," the leaders said. "We will not beg. We will rise." And the people answered. Soldiers trained under the light of foreign suns. Engineers built ships larger than anything seen before. Scientists turned every resource into weapons, pushing limits no one else dared to touch. Children grew up not asking if humanity would rule the stars, but when. The first clash between the Alliance and humanity came near a starless void. The Alliance sent a massive fleet, confident in its size, certain that numbers would crush the restless species. They expected surrender. They expected fear. What they found was fury. The human fleet was smaller, weaker on paper. But humans did not fight on paper. They fought in fire, in blood, in chaos. Where one ship fell, another rushed forward. Where one strategy broke, another was born in the middle of battle. The Alliance fought with rules. Humans fought with desperation. And desperation proved stronger. When the battle ended, space itself burned. The Alliance had won nothing. They had lost ships, soldiers, pride. Humanity had lost too, but to them, loss was fuel. Each scar only made them sharper, faster, hungrier. The galaxy trembled again. The Elderly Council grew desperate. If we cannot destroy them in battle, some said, then we must strike at their heart. Earth must burn. The idea spread quickly. It was dangerous, but many believed it was the only way. Cut off the head and the body will fall. But the Alliance had forgotten one truth. Humanity did not live only on Earth anymore. Earth was their beginning, but no longer their only home. Every colony, every outpost, every fortress was now a piece of humanity's soul. To destroy one world would not end them. It would only unite them more. Still, the plan moved forward. In the dark, a secret fleet was built, forged from the strongest ships of every empire. Their mission was simple: strike Earth, crush humanity at its root, end the storm before it swallowed the galaxy whole. But secrets do not last. Human spies, restless and cunning, discovered whispers of the plan. The Council was warned. And instead of fear, humanity answered with fire. If they want to come to Earth, the leaders said, let them come. Let them see what waits for them. And so, the stage was set. The Alliance fleet, vast and proud, moved silently through the stars, ready to strike the blue world that had begun it all. Humanity waited, every ship, every soldier, every weapon prepared. The galaxy held its breath. The legends had spoken of this moment. They had warned that the restless ones would rise, that the stars would tremble. And now, all eyes turned to Earth. Would it fall in fire? Or would the galaxy learn, once again, what it meant to fight against humans? The sky above Earth darkened with shadows. One by one, the Alliance fleets emerged from the void, their numbers stretching across the stars like an iron wall. Elderly cruisers, Karath war beasts, Vayari wings of glass and flame, dozens of empires had gathered for one purpose: to end humanity. On Earth, alarms echoed across continents. Cities went silent. Families looked to the sky and saw the storm waiting. But there was no panic. Not this time. Humanity had been preparing for this moment since the first warning. Deep in orbit, human fleets were already waiting. Massive carriers, forged in the cold of distant moons, spread their wings. Battleships bristled with weapons never seen before. Defenses hidden on Earth's surface came alive, cannons rising from mountains, missiles locked in silos. Humanity had not trusted peace. Humanity had prepared for war. The first strike came from the Alliance. A wave of fire lit the sky, burning through the dark. Earth shook under the impact, oceans boiling, mountains crumbling. But even as the attack fell, humans did not bow. From hidden bunkers and silent stations, their own fire answered. The battle began. It was not elegant. It was not clean. It was chaos. Human ships charged forward, faster than the Alliance expected, breaking their formations, tearing through their lines. Where an elderly ship tried to move with grace, a human ship rammed it head-on. Where a Karath cruiser unleashed its power, a swarm of smaller human craft swirled around it, biting, clawing, tearing it apart piece by piece. For every human ship that burned, two more rose in its place. For every defense destroyed, another waited in silence. Earth itself seemed to fight. In the Alliance command, voices shouted in panic. They should be weaker. Why do they not break? Why do they not fall? But they did not understand. Humanity had fought like this since the beginning of time, outnumbered, outmatched, but never broken. On the ground, soldiers and civilians fought side by side. Streets became trenches. Towers became fortresses. Every human who held a weapon, or even a stone, became part of the war. To the Alliance, it looked like madness. To humans, it was survival. The Alliance pressed harder. More fleets poured into orbit. Their leaders screamed for Earth to burn. And for a moment, it seemed the world itself might fall under the weight of so many enemies. But then the trap was sprung. From behind distant moons, hidden human fleets revealed themselves. Ships that had never been seen before, massive and terrible, powered by technology stolen and remade from every enemy humanity had faced. They struck like wolves from the shadows, tearing into the Alliance from behind. Panic filled the Alliance ranks. What they thought was a siege had become a slaughter. The hunters had become the hunted. For hours, the battle raged. The sky was fire. The oceans boiled with falling wrecks. The earth shook with every strike. The Alliance fought with everything they had, but the humans fought as if every breath, every heartbeat, every child's future depended on victory. And perhaps it did. When the smoke cleared, the stars above Earth were filled with ruins. Alliance fleets, once proud, now drifted silent and broken. Only fragments remained of the armies that had sworn to crush humanity. But Earth still stood. Humanity still breathed. And for the first time, the galaxy understood the truth of the legends. The restless ones had risen. The storm could not be stopped. Far away, in the shadowed halls of the surviving councils, silence ruled. The greatest alliance in history had been broken on one world, by one species. The empires stared into the void and realized that their time was ending. And humanity's time was beginning. The battle for Earth had ended, but the echoes of war still burned across the galaxy. The Alliance fleets that had come in pride now drifted as broken shadows. Earth still stood, scarred but unbroken, its people staring at the sky with defiance in their eyes. The galaxy had witnessed the impossible. The greatest powers, united together, had failed to crush humanity. What no empire had achieved in thousands of years, humans had done in a single generation. Whispers spread through every system. Traders carried stories, soldiers carried scars, leaders carried fear. And everywhere, the same words returned. The legends were true. The restless ones have risen. On Earth, the council gathered. Their voices were not filled with celebration. They were filled with resolve. The galaxy knows us now, they said. They know our strength. They know our will. We cannot step back. We cannot be weak. From this day forward, humanity stands as more than survivors. We stand as rulers of our own destiny. The people agreed. No longer did they dream only of defending Earth. They dreamed of building something greater, something that would last beyond war. A place where humanity would never again bow, never again fear, never again be told it was small. The ruins of Alliance fleets were not wasted. Human engineers salvaged every fragment, learning, adapting, reshaping. Technologies once locked away in the hands of ancient empires now became tools in human hands. Where others saw wreckage, humans saw opportunity. And opportunity became power. The Elderly, once proud, retreated to their shining halls, silent and shaken. The Karath, broken for a second time, fell into chaos. The Vayari, who had once welcomed humans, now watched in silence, knowing the storm they had feared was here to stay. The galaxy's balance had been shattered. Yet humanity did not spread only with fire. They sent envoys, not just armies. They spoke to smaller races, those who had lived under the shadow of the great empires. To them, humans did not come as conquerors, but as allies. Stand with us, they said. Together, we will not be slaves to fear. Together, we will rise. And for the first time, many listened. For the first time, many believed. Because humans were not like the empires that had ruled for so long. They had known hunger. They had known weakness. They had known what it meant to fight with nothing but will. And that made them dangerous not only as warriors, but as leaders. Slowly, a new order began to take shape. Not an empire built by fear, but by survival. Not a throne built on tradition, but on fire. Humanity became more than a race. They became a force the galaxy could not ignore. But deep within the stars, in ancient places untouched even by elderly memory, old voices stirred. The legends had spoken not only of humanity's rise, but of something else. Something greater. Some said the restless ones were not destiny, but a test. Some said they were the beginning of a new age, or the end of all ages. Humanity did not listen to those whispers. They looked only forward. They built fleets that stretched across systems, cities that glowed on barren worlds, armies that never slept. They carried their fire into the dark, into places where no one had walked, into mysteries even the oldest races feared. And everywhere they went, one truth followed them: humanity did not stop. Humanity did not rest. Humanity did not bow. The galaxy had been warned. The signs had been ignored. And now, the storm had come. It was not the end. It was only the beginning.